InspirARTion, which is a web-based application that could be accessed from anytime you have access to the internet. You can definitely get to this program. So you're going to type in InspirARTion. So it's spelled InspirARTion. There's also a link if you go to my Sparta if you go to the Sparta website and you go to Mrs. Corso's page, you'll see links, and it's one of the links that's available there. I'm also going to have the link in Google Classroom as well. So you click on here. Now, this is not the first time that I opened it. When you open it up for the first time, you might get a grayed out screen, and it just gives you a window with some instructions, and you can just hit close. So this is basically your page. This is where you can create your artwork in this white field here. So the first tool here that I'll talk about is the brush. There's a lot of cool brushes, kind of feathery and big and wide, and then there's some thinner brushes over here. So you can certainly select a brush and explore the brushes. When you want to pick a specific color, after you pick a brush, you can click on color. On the left-hand side of this window, there are 3 squares. The first square, and you can see that it's yellow right now, that represents the color that I'm choosing for my brush. If I wanted to change to a different color, I can select one of these preset colors in this grid here, or I can pick a color, a custom color from the area in the center. So let's say I want to pick a nice blue over here. You can select from the circle. You just drag that circle around that bigger ring, and inside here this other circle allows you to pick a more defined version of that color. If you want that nice bright color, it would be in the right hand in the center on the left hand side of this square. If you want something darker, you would go down that left side. If you want it lighter, you would go up, and then if you wanted it more muted, you would travel to the right hand side. So you can certainly pick a custom color there, and once you establish it, when you click away from it, that's the color you're using. There's different size brushes, so you have small, you have medium and large, so it will be a smaller, you take up a smaller area as opposed to a larger brush. So you certainly can play around with that. So going back to color, there's another square, and that's the second one here. This one is the brush. This represents the background. So if I click on the background, right now it's set to white, but you can drag this area around and you can certainly pick a color that you'd like for your background. If you want the color to be pure white, you want to travel all the way to the very, very top of that square. If you want it to be black, like pure black, you go to the very bottom of that square. And that also applies for when you pick your brushes, if you want black or you want white. Smudge. So the smudge tool, it looks like a little finger pointing down, and what it allows you to do is, let's pretend that this material that you colored with is something that can be moved, something kind of liquid. It allows you to literally smudge it. So you can kind of see how it smudges like that. So if you've done some drawing and you want to change it, on the right hand side on the top, you can hit undo. And if you keep clicking undo like I am, you can undo all your steps. If you want to clear and start from scratch, you can hit clear. So the next thing I want to talk about is the button for symmetry. So I'm going to select horizontal symmetry. And you know that it's selected because it's highlighted in red, just like if you picked a size, whatever's highlighted is what you selected. So right now I have horizontal symmetry, and it gives me a horizontal line in the middle. So what this does is when you draw something above the horizon line, it's going to be horizontally symmetrical on the bottom. Similarly, if you draw on the bottom, it's going to duplicate it on the top. So this is kind of fun to work with. It's a mirror image, so if you wanted to do like a fish or sideways bird or something like that. This allows you to play around. And you can certainly switch colors around as you're drawing. You can switch over to different colors, and that's always fun. Vertical symmetry is one that'll give you a vertical line. So right now I have both horizontal and vertical selected, so you can see there's these 4 axes, and it's not only making it vertically symmetrical, it's making it horizontally symmetrical. So I'm going to clear this. So I still have them selected. If I want to unselect something, I just click on it again. So now it's just vertically symmetrical. So this is where like maybe a face would be fun to make. It's always interesting. Pretty much any time I make something, it always ends up looking like a mask or a face. So I'm intentionally trying to make it look like a face. So you can absolutely explore. Once I unselect the symmetry, you can see it's not doing the symmetry anymore. It's now just separate from one another. Okay, one last thing I'm going to show you. If you go to symmetry, you have Kaleidoscope. So let me go to 6 axis and select 6 axis. So you can see there's 6 of them. 6 axis is selected. And what it'll do is as you draw inside of one of these spaces, you can see it does like a pinwheel effect. And again, it's pretty fun. It's good to explore all those possibilities. Changing the colors, of course, is always a fun thing. So it does sort of a pinwheel effect. If I add axes, and I take away axes, it's literally just going to, keep working with the axes that are available. If you want to eliminate them, you just uncheck them. It might get a little confusing once you select and deselect them throughout one design. Now, the last thing, I'm going to go to 8 axis, get rid of 10, and I'm going to go to horizontal symmetry. So what will happen here is instead of a pinwheel, you're going to get more of like a kaleidoscope look or a snowflake look, because it's using this axis and it's making the image symmetrical on either side of the axis. So that's kind of cool too. So again, you can explore all sorts of things, and you can create some designs really, really quick. So some of you guys want to just kind of free draw, and that's completely fine. You want to make things that are a little more representational. But if you just wanted to play around with designs and colors and that kind of thing, I do recommend just using the symmetry. Okay, so once you make a design and you think you really like it, you can absolutely save it. So you can hit save. Now this is where I'm not going to be very helpful at all, because the way that it shows up on my MacBook that I'm using is going to be different than your Chromebook. But one thing that it'll do is I'll say save. Do you want it a transparent background or a solid background? The transparent background is going to look kind of gray, and it's going to be a picture that will not have any background. Now the difference is, let me add a color in the background for a second just to show you. Okay. So if I hit save and I go to transparent, again, you can see that it's not keeping that background color. But if I hit save and I make the background solid, you can see that it's going to keep that nice color that I had as part of the design. One thing I recommend when you're saving an image, please save it. If you can, you want to change the name of it to something that you can recognize, something that's going to make sense. So if you wanted to name this today's date, I usually, when I'm doing designs and I'm working with something in consecutive days, I tend to name the file the date. I can write it, I could name this snowflake and today's date. But it just helps me to organize images that I'm going to be saving, because as time goes by you're going to have more and more images to save, so you want to make sure that that's organized. Alright, so that's it. I think I covered everything, and if you have any questions at all, please feel free to ask. You know how to get in touch with me via email or Google Classroom chat. So hopefully you're enjoying this program. All right, I'll see you next time.